Councilmember Ben Caldera.
Here.
Okay, so we'll move on to our next item of business, which is our pledge of allegiance. If we can have everyone stand, and if I can ask Pauline Tomasi if she can please lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Ready, salute.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic that stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, do we have any additions or modifications to the agenda?
One, I think we wanted to just include the Women's History Month proclamation and the item about plans, future plans.
Okay, future plans for just.
The working on a
Oh,
celebration.
on the Women's
Yeah.
History Month, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, okay, so we'll include that as part of, do we want to do it under the council presentations? Or yeah, so I'm gonna add a flag. So we'll move, so we added that under council presentations and I added the number 5 to that. Okay, no additional modifications to the agenda, then we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is public comments at this time. So any members may address the council at this time on any matters of interest to the public that are within the jurisdiction of the city council. Just as a reminder, we do have 3 minutes, if we can have you come up to our podium. And I believe we'll start a timer at the 3-minute mark. So we just ask, and this is what we typically always reiterate at our city council meetings, if we can please maintain decorum during the public comment portion and making sure we refrain from making any personal attacks or derogatory comments. I know sometimes things can get pretty passionate, but we do expect that of our residents as well as our city council. So
Yeah,
thank you.
Pauline Tomasini, 37400 Metro Soledad. A lot of you council members think I'm gonna come and complain about that alcohol ordinance. No, I'm not. I understand that it's something that was passed in 2022 and just became effective, so we'll abide by it on behalf of Soledad Rotary Club. But I'm here just to tell you, Soledad Rotary Club is having its fundraiser on March 17, which is a Monday, actually St. Patrick's Day. We couldn't get the hall on a Thursday, which we usually do, so we'll have to make do. So anyway, the event is attended by people who buy tickets. We sell our tickets this year for $200, and I think we're doing pretty well. Pauline Tomasini has to carry most of the burden of ticket sales. And Eva over there, she's gonna be replacing me one day. And anyway, my main reason for being here is I want to thank publicly Chief Damon Watson, our chief of police. I think Friday's his last day, and he has been so nice to me. If he doesn't see me, I live 6 miles, south on Metz Road. If he doesn't see me in town for a few weeks, he comes to my house to check on me to see if I'm okay. Now, how many chief of police would do that? So I want to publicly thank him. I know he doesn't want any celebration of this retirement, so I thought at least I could come to the city council. Okay, that's all that I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. And anyone else, if you're gonna make any recognitions in regards to our chief of police, it is under our council presentations under item 4. So if we can just hold off, make them under that portion of our agenda, please. Okay, so with that, any other public comments from those that are joining us here in our mock chamber?
Yes, we have 1 written public comment.
Okay, so are we done with the with the verbal comments? Okay, seeing none, then we'll go into the written public comments.
I'll be translating for Eneida. She emailed in, good afternoon, members of the council. My name is Eneida Flores, member of Líderes Campesinas. I want to give you thanks for the proclamation that you gave us last month for all of our work that we do together with you. We are organizing an event, Dia del Niño, Day of the Child, which will be Saturday, the 26th of April, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. And we ask you if you can sponsor us by loaning us a room at the community center. Thank you so much for all of your support.
Thank you. Okay, with that, then I'll take it out to Zoom to see if there's any comments from our public on Zoom. And Darlene, I didn't get into our Zoom account. So you can just, very much. Just kidding. Everyone, I am there now, if I can just have panelists speak. Okay, thank you. So with that, then we will move on to our next item of business, and it's we'll move into our council presentations. So for today, we do have 5 council presentations, and we'll start with City Council of the City of Soledad will present Laura Maldonado with a certificate of achievement as the 2025 Life Changer of the Year Award for the Soledad Unified School District. And I will turn this over to Councilwoman Bañuelos to be able to present the certificate of achievement.
She's running the.
Okay, so we will hold off then.
Yeah, sorry.
So we will move on to our next item of business, and this is the City Council of the City of Soledad will present Christine De La Rosa with a certificate of achievement for her 20-year anniversary with the Soledad Community Health Care District. Where she is now the Comprehensive Perinatal Service Program Coordinator at the medical clinic. And I will turn this over also to Councilwoman Bañuelos to be able to present the certificate.
Yes, I'm gonna stand. So it is a great honor to recognize one of our residents. And I'm gonna read what the certificate says. Certificate of Achievement, Christine De La Rosa. Today, the City of Soledad proudly recognizes Christine De La Rosa for her 20 years of dedicated service to Soledad Medical Clinic and the Soledad Community Healthcare District. As a dedicated healthcare professional from South County, Christine's passion for healthcare has not only shaped her own journey, but has profoundly impacted the well-being of families in Soledad. From her early days as a medical assistant to becoming a trusted advocate for mothers and babies. And she has remained committed to improving healthcare access and outcomes for our community. Her dedication to patient care, combined with her drive for continuous growth in the healthcare field, has made her an invaluable asset to Soledad. Christine describes the Soledad Healthcare District in one word: family. And today, we honor her as a vital part of ours. On behalf of the City of Soledad, we extend our deepest gratitude for her service and commitment to our community.
So what we'll do is, yeah, she can come up and say a few seconds. And council, just as a reminder, when we have everyone, then we'll do at the end, we'll take some photos as well. But Christine, do you want to say a few words? You don't have to.
Well, I just want to say thank you to the Soledad community for their.
Yeah, you don't have to. I'm sorry.
I want to say thank you to the Soledad community for their trust and confidence that they had in me throughout the years. And thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so with that, thank you, congratulations, and then we'll wait till we have everyone, and then we can take a photo with your family as well. I know they're here as well, so thank you to you, to your family for being here, and to the kids. Are you guys excited? Okay, so we'll move on to our next item, which is the city council of the city of Soledad will present a proclamation in honor of recognition of the American Red Cross declaring March 2025 as Red Cross Month. And do we have a representative from the Red Cross? Okay, so I don't see a representative that's here with us, but I do want to make sure that I read this, oh, there's some. Okay, so it's okay, so we will, Patsy is here. So Patsy, we were just on your item and we have a resolution, a proclamation that we will have to give to you just after the council meeting. But we want to thank you. Thank you to the Red Cross. And I think, every year we recognize the Red Cross. And we declare March 2025 as Red Cross Month. And I think more than ever this year, we've always known the Red Cross is an invaluable part of our community. And the work that you do, the work that the Red Cross does across, not just in Soledad, but across California, across our state, is incredibly vital. And I think I just want to speak on behalf of our residents, but also the residents of California, especially those in the wildfires of Southern California. And I know Red Cross took a very, very active role. And, I think everybody saw how important the Red Cross was to those families that lost their homes, that didn't have any meals, that didn't, that were left without anything. And I know I saw a lot of the inspiration that was brought from the Red Cross with the food, the meals, the clothing. I mean, all of these different essentials that you were able to provide as part of the Red Cross network to these families in times of need. We've seen it here with the Bajaro flood several years ago. We've seen it throughout our state. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of the city council, on behalf of the community of Soledad, to the Red Cross for all the work that you do and that you continue to do, and how instrumental you are to our communities.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. Greatly appreciated. As the Mayor stated, we have been from day one on the ground helping Southern California. We will be here for as long as needed. We unfortunately know too well, our fires in Monterey County seem large, nothing in comparison to 16,000 structures lost. That's how many families, how many individuals. A lot of them didn't have insurance because it was cut off before that. So their recovery is a long road. We're seeing it. They're not in congregate shelters anymore. They're in hotels. The Red Cross still provides us wraparound services along with our partners. This is going to be needed for a long time. When you have nothing left, sometimes it's even the business was lost as well. It's going to be a hard hill to climb. But the Red Cross and our partners are there, as we are for local fires that we've experienced here in the county, which are also very devastating for those that have lost homes. But the Red Cross is there, and will continue to be there with support of each one of our cities and counties. We greatly appreciate you providing this proclamation for Red Cross.
Yeah, thank you so much, Patsy. And also, I know you guys do a tremendous job with the blood drives, and obviously that's another function of the Red Cross. So just as a reminder to our community that they're always in need of blood as well. So their blood donations are always appreciated. So thank
It
you
was
again.
even more critical with the LA fires because a lot of the blood drives that were scheduled there, LA being as big as it is, had to be canceled. And so we started providing more blood drives locally to be able to support the needs there because the hospitals were overwhelmed. First responders were overwhelmed. So whatever we can do here, because we've experienced it, especially in Santa Cruz County with the CVU fires, we still have lots of families that have never returned back or will not return back. It's just very hard to see that, especially in Los Angeles. So please think about them, keep them in your prayers that, it gets better for them. The weather we're experiencing is another disaster for them. So hopefully it stops and they get to be on the road to recovery sooner.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Patsy. Thank you. And we will, and I think any part that we can do in simple is giving our blood, right, to be able to support. So thank you again on behalf of the city council. We want to make sure that we always take this opportunity to acknowledge and and support and praise the Red Cross for all the work that they do.
Thank you, we really appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, council, then I'm gonna move on to our next recognition proclamation. And Chief isn't here, but I do want to make sure that I take the time for our community members to read the entire proclamation. Obviously, Chief Watson will be retiring, as many of you know, from the city of Soledad as of this Friday. And he dedicated many years of service to law enforcement, over 36. And so I think it's, we have one page, obviously there's more, but I want to make sure our community takes the time to acknowledge some of the critical efforts of our chief and the efforts he's made here in our community. Whereas Damon C. Watson has dedicated 36 years to law enforcement, serving with integrity, courage, and commitment to the safety of the communities he was sworn to protect. And whereas before his distinguished law enforcement career, Watson honorably served for 4 years in the United States Marine Corps, demonstrating his lifelong dedication to service. And whereas Watson holds a Master's of Science degree in Administration of Justice and Homeland Security and a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration from the University of Phoenix, underscoring his commitment to education and professional development. And whereas Watson began his career in 1988 with the Kingsburg Police Department and went on to serve the Madera Police Department for 18 years, later joining Soledad Police Department in October of 2008 as a sergeant, where he continued to rise through the ranks. And whereas in 2016, Watson graduated from the FBI National Academy in Pontiac, Virginia, further enhancing his leadership and law enforcement expertise. And whereas on March 13, 2020, Watson was appointed Chief of Police for the city of Soledad, where he has been instrumental in championing community policing and fostering trust, strengthening community relations, and implementing programs such as Cops Getting Treat and Coffee with the Cop. And whereas in November of 2021, Watson displayed extraordinary bravery when he ended a dangerous car chase that threatened lives by putting himself in harm's way, sustaining injuries, but successfully stopping the threat. I don't know if many of our community members remember that, but that was very heroic, and we're thankful nothing happened to him. Whereas Chief Damon Chuck Watson leaves a remarkable legacy by mentoring police officers and department staff, empowering them to positively engage with the community and proactively fight crime to ensure that the city of Soledad is a safer place. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Soledad does hereby recognize and honor Damon Chuck Watson for his exceptional contributions to law enforcement and the City of Soledad. We encourage all citizens to acknowledge and appreciate the dedication, bravery, leadership, and selfless service he has exhibited throughout his career. And so this will be provided to Chief Watson. Chief, on behalf of the City Council, on behalf of the residents of City of Soledad, thank you for your years of service to our community. And I will take it out to the council members on this one, because I do want to make sure that they have the opportunity to acknowledge the chief and say any words before we leave. And I think this will be his last, be the last time that we are able to acknowledge him at a city council meeting. So I'll start with Councilwoman Banuelos and then work my way this way.
Chief, I will see you tomorrow. I got to know you since yesterday's, right, Colleen? Yesterday's, and you have been a pinnacle to the community and, just guiding and directions and the community members, and not only that, to the staff and law enforcement. And I thank you for your service, your heart, your integrity, your leadership, especially. And I'm so gonna miss you, but when I'm not saying goodbye. Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you, Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Cabrera.
So I would just say goodbye to them.
Yeah, any acknowledgements? Yeah.
Yes, that event, the mayor, stated, was an incredible action that, Chief, Wilton did. He is not just, the chief of police. I consider him a really good friend. He's, more than just the chief of police, is an incredible person. He's a veteran as well, and his leadership is not just in Soledad, it's outside, the scope of his work. And as an individual, he is a great person, an amazing individual. So I'm not gonna say goodbye because I will see him again, not tomorrow, but maybe Saturday. And I hope I can, continue enjoying and be honored with, his friendship and, his, knowledge and leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gonzalo Sanchez?
Yeah. I would also say thank you for your service. Gotten to know the chief a little bit this past year. And it's always nice to talk to him. He's a fun person to joke around with, I think, outside of the council meetings when I see him, so that's always fun. I don't know when we'll see him. I guess there's things people are going to that I'm not invited to, but Thursday or Saturday, but when I see you, you know, and yeah, thank you, and that's kind of cool that his start date, which was March 13, 2020, March 13th was my birthday, so that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Councilmember Caldera?
I just want to say, and recognize, Chief Damon for his work. 36 years is not really, drop in the bucket, you know, but I mean, it's a long time. It's really a long time. It's a big, long career in law enforcement. I did get the privilege to work with him when I was with the city. Him and I did some work and then funding the vehicles, police vehicles, for many years that we worked together, and very smart, and I believe we had a lot to do with the grants, the writing of the grants also. But either way, you know, I mean, it was a pleasure working with them. The city has a big void to fill. We would have a big void to fill. And that's all I gotta say.
Thank you, and I just wanted, just for the public, so Chief Watson is not here, and I just want to explain the reason why he's not here. I think Paulina alluded to that in her comment, but Chief Watson did not want the recognition. Obviously, he loves his career, and he doesn't do it for the recognition or the acknowledgement. He does it because he loves the community, he loves the public, he loves, you know, he's dedicated to service. And so one of the requests was, and you know, we kept stressing, can we do a celebration? Can we do something for you? But he wanted to leave on his, you know, he didn't want that, and we have to respect, you know, we have to respect him after, you know, his public service that he's provided to the residents of the city of Soledad and to the city council. So there is nothing planned just for the rest of the city council members, just so we can be clear, there is nothing planned formally either. So whoever's seeing him is doing something different, but there is nothing formally planned as part of the city based on his request not to have that. And I also want to just make sure that I also state that State Senator John Laird and the Office of Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas will also be providing a joint resolution to Chief Watson acknowledging his leadership to the community of Soledad and throughout our valley before he leaves as well. So they'll coordinate directly with him to be able to provide him with that that acknowledgement as well. And so for me, I just want to say again, you know, Chief, thank you for your commitment. I came from another city where community policing was really reinforced, at least in my tenure when I was with the city. Salinas. And so being able to come here with the city of Soledad and seeing your commitment to community policing and fostering that community trust was really important to me. Because it's something that was really important to our community. So thank you for your leadership in the department to really change. Obviously, enforcement is really important, but it's also having a commitment that trusts our police department and supports our police department. And I think this is what our police department has here in Soledad because of the leadership of our chief of police. So thank you. Thank you, appreciate, and we wish you well, and hopefully you get to rest and you get to do all the things that you love to do. So with that, thank you. Okay, so we will move on to our final resolution for tonight, and that is a Women's History Month, a proclamation. So it's a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Soledad proclaiming March as Women's History Month. Whereas women of every race, ethnicity, and background have made invaluable contributions to the history, culture, and achievements of our nation and the world. And whereas Women's History Month serves as a time to recognize and celebrate the groundbreaking accomplishments of women in every field, including science, education, business, medicine, the arts, government, and social justice. And whereas despite historical challenges and barriers, women have demonstrated resilience and courage and leadership, shaping the course of history and paving the way for future generations. Whereas it is essential to continue striving for gender equity and to ensure that every woman and girl has the opportunity to achieve her full potential. And whereas in honoring this year's theme, moving forward together, the City of Soledad is committed to highlighting and supporting women who have dedicated their lives to education, mentorship, and leadership of future generations. So therefore, the City Council of the City of Soledad does hereby proclaim the month of March as Women's History Month. And we encourage all Soledad residents to join in this observance by recognizing and uplifting the achievements of women, advocating for equality and nurturing the next generation. So we do have a proclamation that we are going to present today, but we do have plans to be able to do something different. To do a different event where we're really highlighting, especially as we're looking at the theme of moving forward together and looking at making sure that we're supporting our young generation and also supporting our older generation as our seniors. And so we've been working on trying to coordinate an event where we can pair those together and we can have something here in the City of Soledad. So there's more to come, and when we have that, we'll send out an invite. And Megan, I don't know if there's additional information.
Yeah, I think, we definitely wanna work on something, excuse me, to honor Women's History Month, but also, the city is celebrating on our webpage. You'll see a banner that, also, announces that this is, Women's History Month, and we're starting to use these banners to acknowledge these important milestones. Last month, we had, Black History Month also as a banner, so that will be up for the whole month. And yeah, more to come on the event because it's a really important thing to celebrate. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. So with that, we will pause and we will, if we can have everyone come up with us so we can take a photo of everyone that was.
Aaron, is it okay if I just, she's not gonna be attending that show. Can I just read her?
Yeah.
Certificate? Okay. So I just want to read the certificate for Laura Maldonado. So on behalf of the City of Soledad City Council, congratulations to Soledad Unified School District, Laura Maldonado, for being awarded the prestigious Life Changer of the Year award earlier this month. With over 23 years of teaching experience, Mrs. Maldonado has profoundly impacted countless children and families. Her empathy, dedication, and passion for her work have left a lasting mark in our school community. I just want to acknowledge her and want to say thank you for continuing to serve our children and the district.
Thank you. Okay, so if we can have the council, maybe in the front or right here, you know.
And I think we're going to have you guys stand according to how you are on the dais.
Okay,
just to create some consistency on the photos.
okay. To stand according to how you are on the guidance.
Could we pause them?
Pause the meeting.
Yeah, if we can pause the. Okay, Council, thank you. So we will continue with our agenda. And we have next on our agenda is our consent calendar. And so for today, we do have we have 12 items.
Yeah.
We have 12 items on our consent calendar. So at this time, I'll ask any members of the public if they wish to pull an item from the consent calendar for discussion or comment. Okay, seeing none, then I'll take it out first to the members of the public that are joining us via Zoom. If there's any members that would like to pull an item from the consent calendar for discussion or comment. And we can make it the access to be able to view. Okay. Okay, so see none, let me see, any from our, okay, so I will bring it back to the council. The council has any items from our consent calendar that they wish to pull for discussion or comment?
I'd like to pull C9 and C11.
Okay, C9, C11. Okay.
C6 and 611.
C11. Okay. And I like to pull four. C10 and C12. Okay, so somebody want to try to give me a motion on all the other items with the exception of C9?
I motion to. Oh my gosh, I forgot.
So it's C9, C11.
To approve, C1, C2, C3, C5, C7, C8. That's it. Anyone want a second?
Okay, can I get a second?
Okay.
Okay, I have a second by Councilwoman Banuelos. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, so motion carries. So we'll move on then we'll start with item C-6. Oh, sorry, C-4. And that was mine. I just pulled this just as a matter of comment, because I know we had a request from Líderes Campesinas for a sponsorship opportunity. And when I looked at, that was one that I had looked at as well. Upon the review, I know that the council gets waiver, at least the way we had it before. Let me just go back to my notes. So the council in the past, we provided waivers for facilities when we wanted to sponsor an event. So there is a little chart that we get that we are provided with as part of the report. And it does have that, I believe if I'm looking at it correctly, that there's 3 council waivers that we provided year to date. I just want to make sure that's correct. And then also if staff could look at working with Líderes or with us to see what's just to kind of refresh our memory to ensure that we follow the proper procedure for sponsorships. If the city wants to sponsor an event or the council wants to submit a request for sponsorship, that we're following the proper process.
Yeah, so typically a community group would reach out to staff, or they could reach out to the council. And the application still has to be completed. We still go through the same process. We just bring it back to council to approve the waiver of the fees, is essentially what has been happening. So I think the best thing, and we can reach out to Líderes, is to start with Jessica, because we don't even know if the facility is available, so we would need to check to see the availability. So we certainly will do that. I think they mentioned April 26th, is what I wrote down. So we'll reach out to rec and figure that out.
Okay,
And hopefully we can provide that support. I also don't know what day a week it is, so it gets a little bit more complicated if it's on a time where we're closed, particularly Sunday.
and a Saturday.
But if it's on a Saturday, we have a little bit more flexibility, but our facilities do close at noon, but again, we can work with them and determine, and then they could reach out.
Okay, thank you, Megan. And I just want to, just because I received a request and I wanted to make sure that I understood it, that's why I wanted to pull it. And I know they were here to make that in public comment. But I also, just to clarify, so that request was made, they have to meet with Jessica to go over the application process, but the request was made. So just want to point that out.
Okay.
And then on this little hour used. So do we have we sponsored, is that 3 events that we've sponsored? I just want to make sure I'm reading that correctly, the chart.
Yes, I think there have been 3 events that have been sponsored.
For the council?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, yeah.
Thank you, just wanted to clarify. Okay, perfect, thank you. And then with that, then we'll move on to.
Through the chair, Yes, I just wonder, point of information actually. If I remember correctly, we tried once a couple of years ago or a year ago. And Jessica told me that is, the process is they fill out the application for the use of that. With all the information, and then once it is completed, they bring it back to council for approval.
No,
So it is that process, just to go and complete the application at the community center. Once the application is completed, then she's gonna bring it to the council for approval.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I just wanted to ensure, because I know we've had discussions about this, so for us and also for them to be able to ensure, because I did get a request, so wanted to make sure I got it out, so. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next item, which is item C6, and I will turn this over to Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, so in this one is, I just have a question, the Soledad, general plan. We were in the process to create a committee. Just wanna ask if that committee has been created.
Yes,
And if so, have any of the previous members been included or? I don't remember meeting anybody in that. From that community.
Yeah, good afternoon. Okay, yeah, so it was reformatted, so now we have the steering committee. And yes, they met once. My understanding is we collaborated, community and economic development collaborated with community engagement to first reach out to the previous members to see if there was any interest. So my understanding is that that was the first approach, reaching out to further members to see if they want to continue to be in the steering committee.
Do you know if anybody was or decided to participate, continue participating?
I know that at least one person came back. I wasn't at the first meeting for the steering committee, but I know that one person that used to be the old committee at the GPAC came to the steering committee.
Yeah, because one of the members was my wife, and I have never heard her saying that she got information about that new committee.
Yeah, and I can reach out to community engagement. I saw this was, and I can just double check that everybody was contacted. Yeah, thank you.
May I
Thank-
ask a question about that as well? Could we
Yes,
just,
thank you.
could we get an email list of who's currently on that committee? Because I don't think I've done it.
The new membership, yeah,
Yeah,
we can do that.
thank you.
Thank you for that, and I have just enough comment on that and follow up, because I did get contacted also, and I thought I had sent an email requesting an update, because Alma Fausto, who was also on the GPAC, I believe,
Yeah.
also mentioned to me that she was not aware that there was a reorganization, and I did tell her that, but she did say that nobody had reached out to her. So can we have like in writing that emails have gone out, or just at least so we know when emails went out? So when we get contacted as a council, we can have more information in terms of this is the process. They were only because we're getting different information, Megan, or can we work with you?
Yeah,
So that we get correct
Yeah,
information as to who got contacted, when they got contacted, what they said, and that we're verifying that we have a document that verifies that these people no longer want to be part of the reorganized committee.
yeah, I think, if anyone has reached out to the council and has expressed an interest that they want to be on the committee, we can definitely do that and provide an update, but more importantly, we can specifically reach out to those individuals and invite them to come to the next one, so it's not too late. We, especially for the ones who've been through it before, because the meeting that we had was largely getting the new people up to speed with where we're at. So we'll reach out to those two individuals and make sure. And if there's anyone else that you guys know of that you didn't get contacted, And then we'll ask community engagement for that report, because that was not the responsibility of community and economic development, but community engagement. So we'll double check and see how they contacted individuals.
Yeah, and I can coordinate with community engagement just to also get a copy of those emails and just make sure that email is not the best way to contact people, that we are pursuing other ways of reaching out to people to make sure that we get a response, even if it's a no, but that we have a confirmed response. I'll coordinate with community engagement as well.
I have a
Thank
clarifying
you.
question about the GPAC. Are they under now community engagement, or I think when I was on it, the first time we did it, I thought it was under community development. Is it, did it switch over, or is it both? Is it everybody?
No, so the way that we are now managing is the content, community and economic development is creating, so Ariana and I mainly are creating that, along with our consultant, we are creating the content. But community engagement is helping us to get the people to the room, so they're more like making sure that we're reaching out to the stakeholders and that we are taking care of the logistics with them, so we're splitting the work that way.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, so we'll move on then to our next item, which is C9, and I'll turn this over to Councilman Gonzalez Sanchez.
Yeah, it's not really a question, it's more like a comment / request. I just noticed that there's been a few change orders coming our way recently.
Yeah.
And I just wanna make sure that we're strategizing to kind of minimize this and making sure that we're considering all potential issues when we're working on projects. Just because I think this is, I think, number 6, right?
Correct.
So just, that's good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, and I do have a follow-up question to that. So why didn't we address ADA issues as part of the design portion?
Oh, I forgot that this work. Good afternoon, everyone. ADA issues have been addressed and we're working towards that. The proposed method was specifically in this item that we're trying to capture part of this change order. Apart from the additional work where we're doing the additional concrete work to have smooth transition, sometimes what you write on plans doesn't truly fit what's on the field. So there's an extra cost associated with that portion. But the truncated domes, the reason why we're trying to convert that over from surface mounted to wet set is because 1, it delivers a better product, and 2, it looks better. The real reason is, if you look at the mock-up that was performed recently, I think it's at the intersection of Kidder in front or Soledad in front, one of those 2 intersections. There's a slight lift there that's created. It's enough where we perceive that there could be an ADA issue, and we just want to eliminate that completely. We didn't anticipate it to have such a lift. We typically don't do surface mounted truncated domes. And that's why we're getting here to get the wets in. Typically when we do truncated domes, we do them from the get-go. Since this was already existing infrastructure, we're trying to consider costs as an aspect, but looking at it really, we should definitely go the route of wet set as opposed to surface mounted.
Thank you for that explanation in terms of why. So I know King City did a bunch of renovations
Right.
to their, their ADA compliance in terms of all of their downtown, and so so we're doing different, right? And
I'm not familiar if the one at King City is surface mounted or wet set, but wet set is typically what you see when we do ADA access ramp upgrades. The ones on Front Street, specifically on the business side. The new ones that we did, they're all wet set, and that's what we're trying to do, because it just really delivers better.
thank you.
Through the chair, I was just gonna add, I think this is a case where we tried to do something more economically, but when we saw it mocked up in the field, it didn't work, and so the money would have probably been there. We would have had a higher project cost because it's more expensive to do, but now that we realize it doesn't really work, the project cost is coming in as being order, if that makes sense. We went less expensive with the project, but then we realized it didn't really work, so we're adding back money that would have been in the original base if we went with wet set domes to begin with.
So we were interested in one item, and then it was gonna be a lower cost, but we had thought it at the higher cost, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying we tried to save money by doing something less expensive treatment. Because we were using existing infrastructure, but in retrospect. We should have gone with a more expensive one, so the actual project cost, if we had put it in, it would have been the same results.
Right.
Of the money would be the same, it's either coming in as a change order or as base project cost.
And if I can just add on to what Megan was saying, both methods are approved, right, they meet and satisfy. It's just truly, when you look at it out there, for that little extra expense, you minimize that conflict with that lift altogether. The transition from surface non-truncated domes over to the lead set, that cost itself isn't there. The additional cost is actually just the process of installing, because we have to get concrete involved.
Okay. I think that kind of then goes back to my original comment of
Right.
just having those considerations thought out. All right, cool.
And I think it's a good lesson learned of sometimes being penny wise is pound foolish. Is
Yeah.
basically
Definitely.
what I think we could say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, then we will move on to C10. And I pulled that. Yeah, so that's mine. So I pulled that one. So I just had a couple of questions. So I know it's coming and we're happy, I'm happy that we're celebrating, not actually, I know we've done community and economic development has done a great job in working with our downtown businesses. And I'm happy to see that there is, this proposal coming in terms of, the Small Business Development Center celebration and Community and Economic Development Department, but I just have a couple of questions. So just for me is, I know that we didn't have a flyer, so like a sample kind of a flyer, what businesses will be involved, just kind of a list of businesses. I know last time when we were talking about doing something for our downtown, we wanted to make sure that we also understood that we're working with our local businesses, a list of who we've already engaged, kind of getting their support would have been something I wanted to see as part of this effort. And then I know this is a day of our strategic plan, so we're, the council at least is, you know, booked from 9 to 5, but obviously we want to make sure that we support the effort. And then just looking a little bit more about any costs that were involved, so just having a budget. I know it's in-kind services, but just having a proposed budget to let us know what are some of the costs, who's gonna pay for those costs. Just to kind of give us a better understanding of the event itself. I know that we want to give them a proclamation, which is really important. But also, I mean, the recognition of the businesses is really important and having them be part of the process. And also making sure that our community attends, right? That we have a good outreach, robust outreach process. So we get our community to be part of the celebration. So those are just kind of some of the comments and things that I wanted to see as part of the proposal to be able to evaluate a little bit better.
Thank you. Actually, before are they on? I'm not sure. Roger? The director of SBDC? Oh, let me check. He's not on. Okay, they said they might be on. Just to help answer some of those concerns and questions. So as far as the budget is concerned, SBDC is covering all the costs. As far as the staff, it would be me, engaging with them, and I've been collaborating, and also Beatriz is more of a helping them on the logistics side. And their funding, it's all coming from them. It's just our staff time. Minimal. I'll be present at the day to represent the city and help them. And as far as the flyer, they're doing all the marketing, what they're doing. They have one already mocked up, ready to go. They just wanted to be respectful and wait for the approval of the permit. And actually tomorrow, we're scheduled already to go ahead and do some foot, walking on downtown and inviting those businesses personally, with the SBDC. So I will be out there with them, inviting all of the local businesses in Front Street, because it is gonna happen on Front Street. And as far as the type of businesses that we're targeting, this is a South County Expo. So they are focusing and they did choose Soledad because of our partnership, obviously, and they're excited about it. So their priority is to invite our local businesses and also and, you know, open it up to South County. That's their focus. And then there is, with minimal fee that they will be charging to cover some of their expenses. But as far as the Front Street, businesses, they're considering waiving it because it's gonna be on Front Street.
Yeah, thank you. I think for me, even a draft flyer would have been good to include, even though they haven't, you know, but to be able to do that and then. Because they're gonna have the exposition, the food vendors, the outdoor entertainment, right? All of this is gonna be part of that, which is great. But just making sure that there was a list at least of, you know, what type of businesses were gonna be part of that event and making sure, I know it's been really important to the council to ensure that. It is, we prioritize obviously South County, but we prioritize Soledad as well. So having a list of those. Preliminary businesses that we've already made contact with would have been really helpful to be able to determine like, hey, this is great because we've already initiated some of those contacts and we already have some engagement and support, so. I understand, but I think for future, just like, this is amazing, but we just want to see more robust kind of information that comes to us to make a better decision on what this is gonna provide to our community.
Mayor, do you mind if I comment as well? Obviously, great, looking forward to having this happen. I just wanna, I guess mention that it's a little just disappointing that it falls on a day that us as a council wouldn't be available, just because we wanna show that we are pro-business, pro-small business, and we want folks to know that we're not there, or we won't be there, not because we don't want to be there, but because we have something conflicting that's going to happen, but I do want to make that point as well. And I feel like we kind of all agree, right? Yeah. So just that, I guess, more for the community, because they're like, why aren't you here? Well, great.
And through the chair, maybe we can carve out a little time within our 8-hour
That's
day
true.
to,
We can
maybe
walk
we
over.
could go for lunch or something like that, so we'll try to carve that out. Yeah, understood.
That would be great. Okay, so that was, yeah, thank you. That was all I had.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to item number C11, and I'll turn this first over to Council, to Mayor Pro Tem Rivera.
Yes, this is
The historic.
this has historical society. I don't really have any comment, but I'd like to hear what you have to say. If you have any comments for us, if you, so I know you have a beautiful display right now, but. Is there anything else? Is there something that we can do?
We're currently, the new display is, they were celebrating 150 years of schools in Soledad. We're going to be opening that display on March 15th in the afternoon. We've got a lot of neat things. We have pictures and books and things from the 1875 school. We have things from the 1908 school. I actually went to the 1908 school. The 1928 school, you know, and we also have stuff from the more recent schools. Unfortunately, we don't have that much from the more recent schools because no one takes pictures that you have. It's everything's on the phone. We're preparing because next year it'll be 150 years since the city became a township. And that will probably be our major display next year. We're looking forward to that. Anyway, we hope so the folks will come. I know that Anna's come and was able to meet with James Perry to see the extent of the collection and the quality of the collection. In your agenda, there was a note from James Perry, who is the director of the Monterey County Historical Society. They're sending any donations, any donors for South County to our organization. So we're going to be kind of the historical society for South County. So I think that was pretty cool. The other two things that, and I promise I'll shut up. We had the Ventana Wilderness Association, and they were thanking want you to support the farmers market. But what they did is they took kids from here and took them to the beach and taught them about the tide pools and about and that was an activity that they did that was huge, I think, for our kids. The other group that sent us a letter was the CTF. And they said, you know, what they did is they recruited people to work for CTF, and they had one of the best in the state recruitment efforts because of what happened at the farmers market. So that was really an economic opportunity for our people. So anyway, we appreciate the support that the council has given us. We hope we can work together as time goes on, because we're good bursting at the seams. I think you saw the report, the items that we received this last year. We've already received a bunch of items this year. And we appreciate your support. Any questions?
Just a comment about the Ventana program. My two daughters and my son went to that program a few years ago with, they were doing it along with a community center in Greenfield. And they were fascinated.
Well, I'm hoping they can come back this next year, because it's an opportunity. We have lots of our kids that have never seen the ocean in this county, which is shocking, but it's true. And so that gives our kids an opportunity that they would not otherwise have, and that's just fantastic.
Oh, yes, a couple of weeks ago, I'm teaching a class and I asked my students, my family was going to the mystery spot. And I asked them, how many of you have been in mystery spot? And nobody, anybody in my class. So we have an urgency to find resources so that our kids can visit at least once the aquarium, visit at least once the ocean. Ventana offers tremendous.
That's a tremendous opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So I'm gonna defer mine, because mine was also just to allow an opportunity for you to come and share a few words. And just for the council, I know that, thank you, Craig, for giving me the opportunity to be able to share also with our state senator and our assembly speaker of the 150 years, because they will be providing a resolution to the Soledad Unified School District next week, I believe.
Yeah.
And so thank you for that. And then also the city will be providing a proclamation as well for that day. So
It's quite an achievement to be around for 150 years.
absolutely. So thank you for sharing that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, we'll go on to our last item, which is item C-12. And that's my item, and that's the item that I pulled, so. This is, I'm gonna go into this item only because I know that it's a resolution for approval of an amendment to our job classifications and salary schedule for 2024-25. In terms of our Public Works Director, and so I just want to start off by saying, obviously, Public Works is really instrumental in everything that they do. But I also have some concerns, and I'll start off with some of the concerns and then kind of go back into a recommendation for that. But I know in reviewing some of the information and wanting our position as council is to be fiscally prudent and responsible. And I know for me, just a couple of things that I came up and I wanted to make sure that I'm able to share this is, you know, for us is we're still looking at, we still need to manage expenses that are related to the fire contract that expired in 2024. And we're also, as people know, in the recruitment process for our new police chief position, that we don't know what the outcome is gonna be, or whether we'll have candidates that are gonna apply within that existing salary range that has been provided. And also in going back into just trying to make sure that I had more information and data, is looking at our 23-24 budget documents. And I know under those documents, for those of us that were here as a council, is you know, we were told that normal revenue increases are not keeping up with the day-to-day expense increases, such as our PERS and our salary and our benefit increases. So I just want to be really clear in terms of what we have before us. And then in the past 2 years, although I know we've had a lot of public works projects before us that have been completed, we've also increased staffing and we classify different staffing to be able to support some of these duties. And I know that back in 2022, when we had an engineer salary study, we increased the wages to ensure that our assistant and associate engineer, we were able to get someone here because we had a hard time with recruitment. And that caused some issues with compaction that we have to deal with also as a council. So at that time, I'm not certain, but I believe that the public works director at the time and also the community development director both received increases to be able to make up for that differential. So also, I just want to be clear that under the parks, we've also increased additional staffing because we have Orchard Park and we want to make sure that we maintain our parks. And so we've been able to provide more staffing to be able to accommodate for that. And some of the oversight of the Little League right now is under Rec and Parks, who's doing, well, they're not doing the maintenance of it, but they're doing some of the oversight. And then I want to say, thank you also, because I know we now have a 5-year CIP plan that we prioritize the projects, right? And we've been really, as a council, I think, have been really, we've really been committed to making sure that we have a plan, that we stick to the plan, that we review the plan during the budget cycle, and that we also look at staffing levels to ensure that the staffing levels for our department, especially our public works department, does match with what the work has to be done. And so now we also have a CIP workshop that we conduct as part of our budget workshops to make sure that we don't overburden our staff and that we know that we're only completing the projects that are within our budget and within our staffing capacity. So I think for me, just kind of looking at all of that, I think I want to make sure that we're cautious and looking at the salary scale. I would propose, I have 2 recommendations. I'm gonna go with one and I want to have some council input here, but my proposal is to be able to do a 6% salary increase. This means that there's still a July COLA increase that was received. So within a 6 months time frame, that means there's, in this specific director position, there was a 10% increase, as this is retroactive to January of 2025. And again, avoids compaction issues that are tied with the community development director position and the public works, although I know it's stated in the report that this is not going to increase the salary of the community development director. And it avoids, I think for me, any kind of impacts, at least as we look at what's before us. So with that, I will pause, just to see if there's any comments from the council.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree, just in the sense that we don't know where we're going to be in the next cycle when it comes to our hire contracts. I think we're still working on that and we're working with the city of Gonzales to think about next steps for that, and then also the recruitment of the police chief and what that's gonna look like. And I want to see kind of what the pool is going to be, especially if we want someone as good as Chief Watson. I think it's gonna come at a higher cost, especially if we're looking at someone that also has a graduate level degree as he did. So just want to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible, but also honoring the work that our directors are doing. So I think that having something that is 6% makes sense. It's kind of close to that 8% that we're discussing right now. I'm not sure if anybody else has any comments, but
Just want to clarify because I'm a little confused. Are you saying that you're proposing 6% with the allowance of the COLA increase or in July of 2025? Or I just want to make sure that I understand
what would occur.
I think that what we're discussing is the 4% from last July. And then 6% now for a 10% total.
Yeah, that would be the 6% plus
A COLA and.
the COLA in July.
Okay. I'm sorry, I just wanted, okay.
Just point of information. So how will that impact, how is the current salary of our, his current salary compared to other cities? Because I was in the assumption that even if we increase the 8% or 8.7% that the staff is recommending, we're still gonna have, he's still gonna be earning at least a little bit less than what the Gonzalez position is earning. So is there anything else that we should know on this?
Is that a question for me?
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, I think, we did provide, where our public works director, would sit among, not, we did include Hollister Marina, Bill Ryan Salinas, but we also provided it in relation to Gonzalez, Greenfield and King City. And, I wanted to clarify that King City, Greenfield and Gonzalez, none of those three cities has a water treatment plant, nor the level of complexity that the city of Soledad has. So I asked Fran to do some research to figure out what would make this position sort of competitive and acknowledge that complexity. And yeah, at the end, if what we recommended would put that position just below the city of Gonzalez in terms of their public works director compensation and slightly above King City. I think that our current public works director gets actually certification pay because he has a PE license. The person in Greenfield does not have a PE license, so only Gonzalez and King City do have that license. So the base salary would actually still be at 202,997, would still be the lowest. Or I'm sorry, take that back. Gonzalez, it would be lower, but would still be lower than Greenfield and King City. I think that's why we added the certification pay, so you could actually see the total compensation across the board. So that's why we came up with that proposed increase. It felt, fair in relation to the responsibilities of that position. And we also, in the past, we had tracked the Soledad position to the Community and Economic Development Director position, because that had been a trend, but that trend has seemed to go away in the area. So we looked at other cities that had that separation between the Community Economic Development Director and the Public Works Director, and it seemed to fall right around that 8%. So it kind of worked out in all ways. It kind of is 9% range, and that's why that's the increase that we proposed.
In my case, I see no problem. I think it is pretty fair, what we offering. Considering that we had serious problems holding on to positions before, or attracting qualified individuals to hold several positions. We currently have several vacancies, and a couple of them because we don't offer that other city offers. So from my perspective, that is a pretty fair offer that the staff is recommending.
Okay, thanks. Well, let me just move on. So thank you.
Seeking a candidate for the chief of police, and not only that too, in retrospect, looking in the future of our bay as well for the fire. My thing is, my thinking that this is fair. As per the recommendation that staff is, requesting. Because I know that we have a budget, and I know coming to this fiscal, we're gonna have to modify some type of budgets, in other words, to extend the contract with the fire department. And then also get some other, funds, to kind of meet the budget as well, the next fiscal. So for me, it's, to me, this is okay, it's fair.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. So, Councilmember Caldera?
Given the fact that, the public works director actually does two different, jobs or three different jobs, I believe that's, it's fair, but I believe that even if we bump it up to maybe 7%, at least we're a little bit closer to what they're asking. And, we can revise it or revisit the salary or do COLA or back or in July or this coming year. I believe we can, we're getting pretty close anyways, but I mean, I believe that could be an option there. I know the, having to have an engineer would be a lot more costly than 7%.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. So I just want to clarify, I don't think he's doing the job of three different people because we hired different individuals. So I just want to make sure that we clarify that because I don't want there to be a misunderstanding of how many positions he's doing. And we did, as I mentioned, in our last budget, we did increase the salary for the assistant city engineer and the engineer because we were having a hard time at recruiting, and we did make that decision as a council, and that salary was significantly increased. So just as a reminder to the council. So can you clarify the position?
Yeah,
Because I want to make sure there's no miscommunication also in terms of what the job positions and that there's no two or three different jobs that he's doing. Besides public works obviously is very vast.
Yeah, and I think to clarify, the public works director oversees a lot of different buckets, right? You have your utilities, you have your, your streets, you have your facilities, and parks maintenance. And I think, in that, I think, Councilmember Caldera is thinking of all the hats that you wear when you're covering kind of a vast department. I think we weren't successful in recruiting an engineer, partially maybe because of funding. And so instead, we underfilled those engineering positions, one with another assistant engineer and one with a water resources manager. Carla started in December. She has definitely helped, I think, fulfill, because we had the two vacancies in the engineering function. But it does mean that Dawn is the sole engineer, and then Leon would do sort of the more technical city engineer work. But since we've had Carla and another assistant engineer filled those roles, we've been able to cut back the staff augmentation for Paris.
Okay, thank you for your clarification. And my final comment on that, and I know that obviously we went through a strategic planning phase on Saturday, so want to make sure that I implement some of what the tools that we learned. And I'm not saying it's not fair. But what I'm also saying is that as a council, we also have to be looking at not just this position in itself, because we'll have the salary increase here that we have other potential impacts. But we also have the chief salary, and we also have our fire contract that we have to be aware of in some of our budget issues that we potentially, as we were told in the last year's budget, our revenues are not keeping up with our expenses. And so adding more to our salaries and our benefits, it is gonna be a contributing factor, so. I have another option, recommendation, if the council wishes to take this or not, but another proposal, which we do the 8.789% increase, which is what's requested. That will provide total with the 4% increase that was received as a July COLA, total of 12.79% increase within that 6 months timeframe. With coming back in July, then that with the recommendation to defer the COLA then until we have an opportunity to really assess our budget in the next fiscal year, in the next year.
I think that should be something that we should consider. So, just to see clarification, this would be the 8.789%. Now then. Let me back up a little bit actually, because I'm a little bit confused. So we are discussing a increase for the top step, correct?
Yes, this would just, I think in your resolution, it showed the whole category, so this is just the top, but, presumably if Dawn left in the future and someone else came in, they would not necessarily started. Yeah. Right.
But then we're also renegotiating the current public works director's contract right now.
No, it probably would have been helpful if I gave a little presentation. Typically, the city manager is able to negotiate contracts, but council has to approve salary ranges. So you would be approving the salary range. And once we shifted it, then I would approve the contract.
Got it. So then if we approve this 8.789% now. And there's a COLA increase being discussed, does that mean we have to discuss it again because it's at the top step and then we have to make another adjustment later?
Typically, as part of the budgetary process, the executive team has gotten a cost of living increase that has matched the staff. And so we've negotiated 3-year contracts, and I believe it's 3.25 would be this year that would potentially be applied. But you still have to approve that COLA for the director, so you could defer it to January if you wanted to. I suppose. I probably defer to Mike on that, but.
Well, it would be dictated by the language right in the director's contract as to what the COLA is and when it would be. If this is a new contract, is that what you're saying?
Dawn's contract expired.
Expired, so this is,
yeah.
okay, so this is a new contract, and so that language then would be inserted into the contract, is that what we're saying?
I was suggesting that maybe, that they could defer the COLA.
Well, next budget.
To 2026, but would it be in the contract? Since that's optional,
Yeah,
right?
but you don't,
That's optional?
you don't usually have the council negotiating the terms of the contract itself.
Yeah,
So-
but the what I was thinking is that COLA, when we come to that executive COLA, it always goes to council, so maybe at that point. That would be guidance for us when we come back with a future COLA.
Yeah, that can be done.
So it's not- I just want to clarify, so it's not in the contract, obviously, because we can't negotiate that, but just if there is a recommendation, then that when we come back, that recommendation has been provided to the staff
Yeah,
for that time, right? Okay. Okay, so that would be my clarification then, to be able to proceed with 8.78% increase now with the deferral of the COLA until 2026? Or I can't say that, right?
Yeah, it would just be,
Just the
Consideration,
consideration for
at
deferral
that time.
yeah, at that time.
Is that a motion?
Oh, yeah, I make a motion.
We doing this independently from the other ones?
Yeah, so this is not, so this is the option, so. Because I know there was not an appetite to do recommendation number one, right, on the 6%. And so my second option that I brought forth to the council was to do the 8.78%, which is what's in the council report, which is the salary increase, but with the deferral of the COLA as a recommendation.
Till the January.
For consideration.
For consideration, and the council can come back and discuss it based on, as I just shared with the council, I'm not gonna repeat everything I said, but based on some of the budget concerns that we have before us in the next budget cycle.
That makes sense. I got it.
Makes sense.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor and a second by Councilmember Gonzalo Sanchez.
I did a second.
Oh, but Councilmember Caldera, sorry. Okay, so all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so motion carries. So we have direction.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, council. So we move on then to next item on our agenda, which is our business item number 1. Resolution number 6202, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Soledad approving a professional services agreement between the City of Soledad and the Arts Council for Monterey County and an amount not to exceed $8,700 for the Fire Apparatus Bay Arts Mural Project and authorizing the city manager to execute said agreement. So I'll turn it over to Vencia Vargas.
Yeah, I think you can pull it down.
Yes, I think.
but it's not working.
Oh,
not
and, good evening, Mayor, Madam Mayor and council members. As Mayor mentioned, I'm Vencia Vargas, your economic development coordinator. I'm here to present and recommend the approval for the professional service agreement with the Art Council. As you know, over the past couple of years, staff has been collaborating with the Arts Council and our public spaces through murals. Phase 1 of the art mural project was successfully completed in November of 2024. And that included the 3 separate murals along our Front Street corridor, they were all located at Cecil Towers Park. Phase 2 of the mural project involves installing a new mural on the aerial apparatus bay. Given the significance of this investment to our community, staff believes that a mural will be a meaningful addition to the building. The artwork will be placed on the wall facing Bill Ramos Park, allowing our residents and our visitors alike to enjoy the mural itself. And I did include attachment number 1, which indicates where the wall will be placed, just so you get a visual of where we're looking at, what location. For this phase, we are proposing that the same design process be as last time with one key exception. This time we want to use the council meeting to obtain your input on the mural. Last time, as you recall, we had individual interviews with each council member that was on the council at that time. The reason that we're trying to do this a little bit different is that to ensure that the mural installation aligns with the completion of the building, allowing it to be unveiled at the time of the planned ribbon cutting that we're hoping to plan out. So we have the building and we're also celebrating the mural itself. One thing about the mural, the feedback is during our last installation, staff did request feedback from our residents and also individually from each council member. And the feedback that we received last time, I'd like to give you some examples of what we received from the community. So that can help you also give us feedback. One of the things that were mentioned is multi-generational families. They wanted us to focus on that also. Cultural diversity, a representation of all the families that call Soledad home. A representation of the Soledad's past, present, and future. The city's role as a gateway to the Pinnacles. A focus on the regional's natural beauty that surrounds us, the historical mission itself, and the beautiful agricultural fields that, lie around the city of Soledad. Additionally, since this building will house our new ladder truck that we've been anticipating and excitingly waiting, staff believes that the mural should also honor the fire department's bravery, dedication, and the vital role that they play in that. Finally, it's important to acknowledge that this mural would not have been possible without the generous support and contribution from Supervisor Chris Lopez's office. The city has received $40,000 in funding from his offices in grant form that will help facilitate and cover the costs for the project. Therefore, what's before you is an agreement for the difference. The total cost of the project is $48,700. So the amount that we're asking for is only $8,700. And I believe that someone, Priscilla is on,
She's on there.
right, she's on, okay. So they've all told us. And we do want to say, thank you to his office because we've been working with the Arts Council and his office together to try to, help find funding for this particular project. That's all I have.
Thank you. So let me take it out to, I have to remember, since Priscilla's on the line, I want to make sure that I have, give her an opportunity. I know Supervisor Lopez is attending a very important meeting tonight, so Priscilla, let me make sure she's still there.
Yes, sorry, if having
Okay.
issues with my audio, but I'm on. Hi, everyone. This is Priscilla Barba, and thank you for the opportunity to speak on this item. I just really wanted to quickly say thank you to everyone, to the mayor, the city council, and city staff for allowing us the opportunity to partner with you and looking forward on the final outcome of this mural, which is, I believe, it's going to be amazing. I already know it, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and please extend our gratitude and thanks to Supervisor Lopez and our behalf. Okay, so with that, and given I want to make sure that I'm giving a score of time here because I want to make sure we get through everything in a timely manner. So with that, council, let me take it out to the public to see if there's any public comments, bring it back to the council for discussion and approval, and then we want to make sure I kind of limit, I'm gonna limit some of the discussion time just to make sure that we get through all the items. So let me take it out to the council, let me take it out to the public if there's anyone from the public that is joining us here in our mock chambers. Okay, seeing none, let me take it out to those that are joining us virtually. If there's any comments for this item, which is resolution number 6202. Okay, seeing none, then I'm gonna close that public comment portion and bring it back to the council with any, let's start with any comments first, any questions first that we may have, and then we kind of can go into some of what you're asking from us, some comments on some of the designs. Okay. So, council, any comments? And I'm just gonna leave it open, so if anybody has any questions first, any questions first? Questions first.
Yeah, so I have a question. We are going to contact the usual artists that did our murals.
We do have, that's a good question. We do have already, so we're working on again with the Arts Council. So they do have a pool of artists. If we are interested in working with the same ones, we can work with the same ones. Thank you.
So do you guys have a projected, when we can see a draft or something?
So last time, we got them within 2 to 3 weeks. Once they got the feedback, it wasn't a long time. You'd be amazed. They can mock up drafts
Oh, yeah.
pretty quick.
I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Council members, any comments, questions, not comments, questions on this side?
No question.
Are you taking suggestions right on the mural?
Not yet. So we're just
Not yet.
getting questions. Okay, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
It's on the budget. So I know we're only doing a portion of the 8,700. It's coming out of the professional services line of community and economic development. So I just want to make sure in that budget, there's enough money that's remaining to be able to ensure that
It's covered.
it's covered. So and just if you can verify that there's sufficient money to be able to.
I did talk to Mike, and yes, we're good, we're good.
Okay, good, yeah. Okay, good, having a remaining balance would be nice, so that way we know that there's a remaining balance and that you guys are good, so, okay. Okay, so now we'll move on to the next portion, which is what, they're looking for our input. So I'll start now.
Did you want me to reread what the
Yeah.
community? Okay.
Yes.
So that's fresh. So one of the things, the community, the feedback that we got last time, and this is the feedback we got from when we were first asking what the community wanted to see before the mock-ups. So they wanted to see reflection of multi-generational families, a reflection of the cultural diversity, representing all families that call Soledad home. Soledad's past, present, and the future. The city's role as the gateway to the Pinnacles. And then lastly, the regional's natural beauty, historic mission, and agricultural fields that surround us. And then one recommendation is because it's gonna be housing our ladder truck, obviously, of course, bringing in the firefighters component to it.
Okay. Thank you for preparing us for that. So with that, we'll enter a discussion, and council, and I want to make sure that, again, if we can get 10 minutes, if we need more time, we can extend it, but if we can do 10 minutes on this item, and then we can move on to our next. So it's 7:45 right now, we'll stop at 7:55. Are we good? Okay, so I'll start with Councilmember Caldera. Any recommendations?
My recommendation is that we should include our local heroes who put their lives on the line. We have two, one more recent, Mario Cunha. And we do have also another gentleman who passed away back in 1995, I believe. His name was Donald Lum. And I believe Chief Stevens or Mr. Stevens has pictures and that kind of stuff. That we can go back to. I think it's more than appropriate for us to put their pictures or their faces on that on the mural. Be part of or go back to or kind of refreshing up who built who actually could take us all that back in those days.
So you had mentioned Mario Luna?
Mario Cunha.
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 Okay. And Donald.
Donald, I was gonna say Donald Trump. Donald
Lum?
Lum, L-U-M.
Okay.
Okay, Councilmember Anselmo Sanchez.
How do I follow that up? Okay, well. My recommendation was going to be similar to what was discussed on Saturday in our strategic plan, which is really kind of driving in like gateway to Pinnacles. Paul, and I think that the artists that we've worked with in the past can hopefully kind of find a way that intertwine both. I think someone in Memoria would be appropriate. I would actually, it was the right time, but I would actually want to consider maybe in the future having something more for those individuals as well, separate. If not part of the mural, I think it's a very good point. We should be honoring those folks that have protected us as well. But I do think that having the Pinnacles would be something that's ideal, and I think it really again drives home what was discussed in our strategic plan. And I think it also encapsulates everybody. Only because I don't have family, well, I do have family, my parents, right, and my siblings, but I think we kind of captured that with the street murals, so I think it'd be nice to continue on at least the path with the pinnacles. So that'd be my recommendation.
Okay, thank you. So I'll move on to Mayor Pro Tem Cabrera.
So you're accepting, recommendations,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I would like to, suggest the, included in the images that, a picture of, Mario Martinez.
And Mario Martinez is.
Mario Martinez is, as well as the resident that won the, silver, medal in the Olympics, 1984. 1984. I can see.
I'm a big recipient.
Thank you. Councilwoman Manuelos?
Maybe my recommendation is maybe an abstract, like a silhouette of course, yes, gateway to the pinnacles, and another silhouette, abstract of, you know, the heroes that serve as, first responders for the fire department. You know, another one is of course a pinnacle of who we are, and, you know, Soledad. And that when I say that, I mean, is another abstract, maybe three abstracts together that intertwine together who we are, saying this from that we're in a community.
Okay, thank you, council, for those comments. So I think so I think I agree with some and with, others, I think in terms of some of the individuals and memoriam, I would say that that's something that we should be looking at. I know we had a discussion as part of the policy committee in terms of how we name our streets, how we name our facilities, who we name people after, and having a real clear guidance and criteria to be able to do that. I would like to see that, especially because it's a public, I mean, it's a tribute to, it's gonna house our engine with a ladder, our fire truck with a ladder, that it really has, I like Councilwoman's, Banuelos kind of concept, because I know one of the artists did something really, I mean, one of the really awesome kind of, murals in Front Street, where it was like a series of photos of pictures, right, of kind of telling a story. And so I recommend that it really focuses on our public safety and a tribute to public safety, because I don't think we have that anywhere in our area. And I think that's a perfect opportunity, given where given the location of the building, given what the building and the engine, what it's gonna house. I think it's appropriate, given, you know, what we've seen throughout California, especially with our fire department, with our CAL FIRE, the devastating, you know, wildfires that many Californians have felt in the last several years. I think a tribute to our public safety would be really important. And the depictions of that, I think it's really important. And also the pinnacles, we had a long discussion, and I want to make sure that we're honoring some of those discussions that we had as part of our strategic planning, and that we bring that gateway to the pinnacle. So having something representing also who we are as a community, and making sure that we're showcasing, you know, our connection to the pinnacles and some of that cultural, you know, symbols that represent. It doesn't have to be the high peaks, because we have that, but looking at some of the other elements that pinnacles represents and are symbolic, that we can bring kind of that nature feel to that. And then I think in terms of other symbols, I know we have, obviously we're surrounded by agriculture, that's who we are. But because we also have the element that this was provided by the county, is also making sure that there's something that is within a county representation, whether it be the agriculture, something in South County, given I know Supervisor Lopez is, you know, he's from South County. How do we include an element of, you know, something that's representative of South County wide through Monterey County?
Thank you so much. I've taken notes.
Yeah, and let me just go back to, because I think when I say heroes, I want to go back to what Councilwoman Buñuelo said. I don't think it's just specific to our firefighters, but I think when we look at our heroes and public safety, it should include our public safety, right? Our police and our fire.
Okay. So normally what we do is we'll take all of this feedback, provide it to the Arts Council and the artists, you'd be amazed of what they come up with and in a pretty quick time, short time. So we will go ahead and that's the next step. We will be providing, I will be sending out all the information over to Jackie, who is the Arts Council representative that I'm working with, and then, they'll get to work. And then at that point, we can have some images.
Okay, perfect. Okay, council, so thank you for your input. So with that, before we close, I just want to say this is really an example of how it really takes a village. So this magnitude of this project now is at a different scale than when we started. But I don't want to forget to also thank Senator Ana Caballero for the $2 million district earmark funding that she gave us to be able to even acquire the fire engine. And so obviously we didn't have a place to put it. The city had to improvise of how we utilize some of that funding and then some to be able to have that. And now with the addition of the county and the Monterey Arts Council helping to be able to support, well, the county with funding, right, to now have a mural to be able to have a nice facility to house the engine is amazing. So I look forward to the ribbon cutting and having a massive celebration with our community. So thank you. Okay, so with that, we're at 7:54, council. I will entertain a motion to accept resolution number 6202. Okay, so I have a resolution on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so resolution carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is resolution number 6203. 6203, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Soledad approving and authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement with Amid Enterprise LLC for a total not to exceed 207,100 for design work associated with the interim shelter facility project at 990 Los Coches Road. And then we also have resolution 6206, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Soledad approving and authorizing the city manager to execute a contract. I say AMIG, is it AMIG? AMIG Enterprises LLC for a total not to exceed 820,082 for the purchase and installation of modular units and related development tasks for the interim shelter facility project at 990 Los Coches Road. I will turn this over to Beatriz.
Thank you. And they go back and forward, and they amen. But good afternoon, Madam Mayor and council, Beatriz Trujillo, Community and Economic Development Director. And yes, so I think we have been waiting to be able to secure a contractor for this project. So this staff report and the two resolutions attached to it is to authorize us to enter into a contract with AMIG Enterprises LLC. This is part of the encampment resolution grant. So the same background that you have been hearing in the past, we were able to secure this funding through a collaboration with the county. One of the agreements, so we have two agreements with the county, one for services and one for the construction of an interim site. So this contractor will be funded through the contract that we have with the county for professional services for the site development. So we will be using that money to secure this contractor. And we are seeking to enter into two different contracts with the Med, one for professional services and one that is a public works contract. So for professional services, we are seeking authorization to enter into a contract for $207,100. That is the design services. So anything that is the site plan, any architectural and engineering services, all of this, AMIG offers in-house, and they have a California licensed architects, engineering services that they can, also because they're very familiar with the units, because they also produce the units. So we think that the professional services are, highly needed, for us, for this project to move forward smoothly. And the professional services, they all ensure compliance with California Building Code. So that is one contract, and that's what we're calling the professional services agreement. And the other contract is the public works contract. So this one is the larger contract that is for 820,081.98. These are the modular units. So within the modular units, we have different requirements for the units. So we have 6 what we call dual sleeping cabins, which is 2 people will be living in each in that unit, because the unit will be split in half. So even though it's one unit, it will be housing 2 individuals independently. So we also requested 2 dual units for ADA restrooms, 2 units that can actually accommodate couples, so 2 people in 1 unit. And we also requested 1 office with restroom, 1 dual office. That is because we want to make sure that we have office space for step up, but for other wraparound services that we can make that this is available to them. 1 area for eating and laundry. And this part of this contract is also the labor to assemble the units, and also the cost to bring the equipment here and to install the equipment. All the units are gonna be furnished, so they will include everything within that. And the selection criteria, we did reach out to a couple of providers. One of them was not able to provide AC and heater, and because where we're located, we think that especially during the summer, if it's really hot, the units are really tiny, so it was really important for us to be able to have service to AC and also heater during the winter. Cost effectiveness was also a factor, and AMEC provided the most competitive quote. On the energy efficiency for the AC and the heater system, we did have other providers that could be very efficient. It was more expensive. And we had another provider that we reached out to that they didn't have this, they didn't provide this service, the heater in the AC. So we also wanted the units to be equipped with fire sprinklers. And we also wanted the units to be able to last, because even though this project is only for 2 years, we want to be able to reutilize those units after that for any other city projects. So low maintenance, a lot of the units that have a lot of the other, that comply with the other requirements, like high efficiency, they are very highly customized. So only they can make the parts. In case you needed to do a repair, you have to go through that vendor. For AMEC, the difference that makes it a low maintenance is that we can actually purchase any of the parts at Home Depot. So if we wanted to keep the units, just for efficiency, when it comes to maintenance, we can just buy at Lowe's or Home Depot without having to go through the vendor back again. And also, like I mentioned before, we wanted to really assess the ability to repurpose the modular units. There has been different conversations about what we want to do with these units in the future, but we want to make sure that this is not an investment for use 2 years, but that we can actually clean, sanitize, and repurpose. And this is an idea of the type of units. So they're very small, but they're like building blocks. You can put them together either to the sides or also above, like on top of each other. So you can do either up or Y. This is just a rendering. This is not the final product, but it was just for you to get an idea of the size of the units. And you're familiar with the sign, but this is where we'll be placing those units. The financial considerations, so all of the expenses for both contracts will come from the encampment resolution funding that we received from the county, so nothing will go into our general fund. However, we are doing extensive coordination with finance and legal this last week, legal. a lot of support from our legal team, so we will continue to do that.
Thank you, Beatriz.
With that, if you have any questions or comments.
Yeah, thank you for that comprehensive overview of the project. So let me take it out to the public before I bring it back to the council. So any members of our public that are, I'm going to differ from those that are here because it's only staff. But any member of the public that is joining us on Zoom. Okay, so I don't see any hands raised, so I'll bring it back to the council then for any comments or questions, and we can do both at this time. And I'll start with Councilwoman Bañuelos.
Yes, thank you, Beatriz, for the detailed slide. Can you come back to the slide where you show the units, the number of units? So these are just an idea of what the units are going to look like, and then they can be stacked, and then of course they're durable, correct?
Yes, so the lifespan, if we put the appropriate maintenance, it can be up to 80 years.
Okay. That was, no, that was my question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Cabrera.
Yes, so the total is 1,27,182 for the two contracts, right? So how much money do we have left from the grant?
So for the site development, the total grant that we have for site development is 2.1 million. This will be considered site development or, yeah, the interim shelter. So we still have a little bit of money left, but that's because with that funding, we also need to provide that provisional encampment. But we do have enough money allocated and we have a little bit of a contingency fund.
Okay, and then, it's just a question that occurred to me with all the contracts and things that we have seen. Do we need a contingency money or percentage for this, or not? Is that all included in the other ones?
We can have a contingency. I think, right now, what we have allocated for AMEG, just for this contract, it was to allow for up to 1.7. So like you see, so from those $2.1 million, we had estimated that we could use up to 1.7 for AMEG, but that also includes some of the grading and some of the actual, site development preparation. So we have enough. I feel comfortable that we have enough money.
And it's just like a
And
little.
through the chair, one thing I just wanted to add is where we probably need the contingency is in the site work, because these are prefabbed buildings, so it's kind of like buying something off the shelf. That's a little different, but with the construction side and the utility hookups, that's where you'll see the contingency more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. Build a line item under budget for contingency. That's what you were asking me? Okay, yeah, I didn't get that. Thank you.
Thank you. No further questions?
No.
Okay, so Councilmember Marcelo Sanchez.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to have this coming in and us doing it, and I do want to address something that has been bothering me a little bit. And I think that we have been seeing a lot of misinformation about this item, and I just want to clarify for the residents that this is something that we have been working on. It just takes some time to get everything off the ground. Our staff is doing an amazing job, and they're doing what they can with the resources that they have when they receive those resources. And this is something that we should all be looking forward to. And I know when conversations about people that are homeless, people that are unhoused come into play, it can feel very, what's the word?
Easier, like the sense of community.
Well, yes, or like also like contentious, yes, thank you, yeah, it can be very contentious, and I think that we should all just realize that we are a lot closer to being there than we think we are, and these are people that need services, that are people from society, and I think that we need to have a little bit more grace in having these conversations, and I just want to make sure that that is something that's clear to our public, because, you know, you shouldn't be reading the comments, right? It's something that you always see, but I have been seeing some comments that makes me really disappointed, and I just want to make sure that we're driving that home, and because of that, I really hope also that staff and that, I don't know, like, exactly who responds to comments, but if we can just have like some response and saying that we are working on this is something that we have been doing, and providing updates to the community so that they're aware of what's happening, but it's just something that I'm a little disappointed in seeing. from the community, but also now that I'm off my soapbox, I do have a quick question about, in terms of repurposing, do we quite know what the dimensions are going to be? Of the units,
Yes, so they're 8 by 20.
8 by 20, oh,
Mhm.
thank you. And that's good for me.
Thank you. Councilmember Caldera?
Okay, well, just for clarification to the public, I guess, because I know they were. I echo what the other members, council members have said. The wrong information they've gotten, so clarifying, all this money has come from a grant, correct?
Yes,
So nothing from the city,
no, all of this is coming from the state to the county.
yes. Yeah, and as Councilmember Fernando was saying, we read some comments, really bad comments, with some of the media that was putting it out. Well, it wasn't them, you know, there was people, there were a lot of people calling on that and very bad comments and negative comments, degrading the poor unhoused people and that kind of hit. I'm not saying it hit home, but I mean, it really hurt me because it was something that we're doing it from our hearts and trying to house these people. And I believe clarifying that would be something good.
Yes, and we're actually working on having more information available to the public at a high level where they understand that the money is not our general fund, it's coming from the state. So now that we have our homeless outreach coordinator, we have extended our capacity, so that's something that we started working on this week. So we will be having us the information on the outreach and the teaching plan.
Yeah, thank you, Beatriz. Thank you for those comments. And I just want to reiterate, you know, we started this, we adopted the plan for the county. The city didn't even have the funding to address this issue before. And people were living in the river unhoused. Our community was complaining about it. And we had a lot of incidents where our police and our fire were getting called out to the river because it was fires that were being started. There was calls for services because there was a lot of activity out there. So we were trying to figure out how do we address a problem when there is no money. And the only reason why we're able to address the problem is because we partnered or we adopted the county's Leave Me Home plan. And that was the only reason that if we adopted their plan, then we have the opportunity to be able to work and partner with the county, because the money that comes down from the state does not come to the city, it comes to the county. And so we would never have the opportunity to even get the 4.6 or $7 million that we got from the state through the county for this project. So I think that has to be really clear to our community, because it doesn't seem like that's clear. And so with that, we have the opportunity to really address a problem that was an issue, and it's a human issue. It's a humane issue, and it's our responsibility as council to look at the needs and the housing needs of every individual, whether they're housed or unhoused in the city. So I just want to reiterate that, and thank you, Beatriz. And I think the presentation you provided last time of the history of the encampment resolution fund and where we're at, because there was a pause in time, right? I think it's something that we can utilize to be able to do the education and awareness, because it's a really good kind of sequence of timelines for our community to know. Yeah, and the more that you can share with us too, so that was the council, when we get those comments, we know as well the sequence of how it took, and it does take time. It took 3-4 years to get here, but at least we're here. If we didn't have any money, we wouldn't even be discussing this. So, and I'm glad that we can repurpose that, because we still have to address more housing needs. So repurposing that, and after we're done, because it's only a temporary grant, then we can look at utilizing those shelters for something else. So, which is really exciting. Okay, council, so with that, then I'll make.
Sorry, real quick, can I make one last comment? I just wanted to publicly say congratulations on your role.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. Okay, so with that, council, I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 623 and 6206.
Chair, you better actually took the video.
Oh, we could.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so let's do number one. I'll take a motion. I'll then entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 6203.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion by by Mayor Pro Tem Cabrera and a second by Councilmember Gonzalez Sanchez. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye. Forgot to say aye.
Oh, okay, so unanimous, it passes unanimously.
Sorry.
Okay, so now we'll take resolution, I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 6206.
So moved.
Second, so,
And council, before you vote, I just wanted to remind everybody that because of the urgent nature of this particular matter, in providing housing for these folks is exemplified by the Shelter 5-6 declaration adopted by the council. I believe at the last meeting, we are handling this particular contract, the public works contract, as an emergency public contract. And it requires at a minimum of 4/5 voting members of the tax. Okay.
thank you. Okay, so with that, I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 6206.
So moved.
Second. Okay, so I have a motion on the floor, Councilmember Gonzalez Sanchez with the second by Councilwoman Bañuelos. All in favor? Yeah, Councilwoman Bañuelos. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, it passes unanimously. Great, thank you so much and looking forward to the project being completed. Okay, so we'll move on to our third item of business, receive a presentation on the 60% plans of the West Street Road Diet and Complete Streets project. So I will turn it over to Alex.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Allow me just a quick second to pass out some exhibits here. I apologize, this evening yesterday, but hopefully paints a better picture than the. That's great one. Paints a better picture than the small, that it's showing the power of the vote. That's me. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. Alex Ramos, Assistant Engineer with the City of Solidan. Bear with me as I pull up my presentation here. I would also like to just start by saying we do have our consultant design team on board as well. If there's any questions or concerns, and they can help us address and walk us through that process here. But we'll say that towards the end of the presentation. All right. So to start off, this is for the West Street Road Diet and Complete Streets project that goes into plans. To give a quick overview of what we'll be discussing today, I'll quickly talk about background upon the speed through this and consideration of the time. And then we'll go through each section of Front Street, I'm sorry, not Front Street, of West Street, and look at the proposed improvements at those said intersections, and then we'll go that up and end it on the city council's input and what we'll be doing towards next steps. But just to talk about the background, the city applied for the RSCP, the Regional Surface Transportation Program competitive grant in July of 2023. We got the award notification that we received the full $2.75 million for the proposed improvements on West Street in August. This was also simultaneously happening around the time where we were receiving the great news of the UCDR grant and stuff of that nature. So we didn't truly start this project until 2024. And when we did, we reached out to M&S and we did services. Since then, we've produced a 30% plans and now we're at 60%. Starting off at the first section of West Street, we're looking at Front Street to Monterey Street. Once again, I'll be talking off of the slides, but if I can have you guys use your exhibits to kind of visualize it. Most of the improvements in this section here are striping improvements. This is a portion of our existing trail route. So hard improvements are a little bit difficult. So with that being said, we're proposing updated crosswalk striping, center lane stripe median with flexible bollards, a green bike striping in addition to bike lane improvements. where we have existing, but this would enable us to do a buffered bike lane with flexible bollards that help kind of create that visual barrier. In addition to precast concrete curves towards the intersections to solidify and really kind of enforce that barrier to provide bicyclists an adequate safe distance from folks, and it truly helps people prevent from leaning into the bike lane. We're also going to be starting the road guide at this portion, and you'll see that travel lane reduction from 2 lanes in each direction down to 1 lane. Moving on to the next portion here, we're looking at Market Street and North Street. Once again, similar things that we saw at that last intersection, major striping improvements, bike lane improvements, the travel lane reduction, hence the road diet. But you start seeing more hardscape improvements, and this is because this is no longer within the area of the truck route. So this is where we see curb extensions, or some folks refer them as roll-outs. It creates, a shortened crosswalk distance time, and it truly helps with the traffic calming. It slows folks down. We have concrete islands, the ADA ramp upgrades, since some of the access ramps out there currently don't meet today's ADA access standards. So we'll be addressing those as well. In addition to bike ramps, you see a form of these already at the roundabout. And concrete sidewalks and driveways where we see deficient conditions, and that's based on just overall existing condition of the concrete, or because they don't meet ADA. And you'll see a portion of the landscaping center meeting come into play. You see a little bit more defined in the exhibit you have before you. But this is where we start looking at how we're reducing the travel lanes that way. Next section here, we're looking at Centerview Street and Gavilan Street. Once again, stripe improvements, bike lane improvements. This one has the landscape median, but this one's interesting because it proposes a raised crosswalk at Centerview Street. This enables a means of access for kids crossing. I don't know if you guys notice currently now, there's no mid-block crosswalk until you get to one of the major intersections, right? Either at Front Street or at Gavilan. So this enables kind of that ability you can take either route, but once you get to the school, you have a means of crossing over before you get to Gavilan. With that being said, moving on to kind of what the purpose of tonight's meeting is, or this item per se, is getting comments, addressing potential concerns, asking questions from the council to staff about the proposed improvements we have so far on 60%, so that we can take all those items into consideration, move on to the 90% design plan, formally finalize them, and then take them out to bids. And we have milestones kind of listed there on the side of what we're planning on trying to achieve over the next few months. With that being said, that concludes my presentation, and I hope to hear from you folks.
Okay, thank you so much, Alex. So let me take it out to the public that is joining us via Zoom to see if there's any questions first. So is there any questions or comments from our public that is joining us via Zoom? Okay, seeing none, then I will close that and bring it back to the council. And let me start with Councilman Caldera. If there's any questions or comments, I'm able to go ahead this time.
Actually, don't have it.
So I'll go on to Councilman Marcelo Sanchez.
All right, I'll try to keep it short. Good luck, right? Where do I begin? Clarifying question. So when we are doing this road diet, going to 1 lane, it'll be just from West Street, from Front Street all the way to Gavilan. So once you get to Gavilan, and then you go all the way up to, I forget what the street is called. Not Terrassa, Cuesta maybe? That'll be 2 and 2 still, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So everything north of Gavilan will remain as what it is. There's some minor improvements, nevertheless, though. That's just to create an easier transition into that portion of West Street that is actually the road back, if that makes any sense. I get it.
Yes, that does perfect sense. And then for the median landscape, that is going to be, what is it gonna look like? It's like plants, shrubs, trees, what is?
It'll be mostly trees. There'll be some plantings, but we're trying to take advantage, and maybe Nate can also help answer this question, but what we're doing on Front Street is super cool, and I'm hoping we can do something for West Street in the future, but as of now, given the current budget constraints and making sure we stay within budget, we're only proposing trees at the moment, we're hoping that in the near future, we can secure funding through other means and really kind of move the landscaping, hopefully mimicking the front street, I forget the name, Big Net. Have you had this called?
Oh, the vignettes.
Oh, thank you, yes, that,
Yes.
yes.
And then the trees won't destroy the road, right?
No, luckily they're more street friendly appropriate trees, and the cool thing about this median is we typically see medians kind of raised, like concave or convex. One of those, right?
Convex.
Yeah, convex, this median will be the opposite, it'll be concave, so the root structure will be a lot lower.
Perfect. And then, for that sundew crosswalk, it'll be a rapid flashing lights, right?
So it's the RRFB rapid rectangular flashing beacons.
Just for the public, again, it is the law that you must wait until the person completely finishes crossing the street. And again, because I literally got tapped by a car for that reason, so not even just me, I've seen it happen, folks, you need to stop, it's the law. Please, it's a safety issue, so you don't know if the person's gonna change their mind and cross right back, right? So that's something that I just wanted to say as well. This looks really great, and I'm really looking forward to this. Oh, actually, we have one final question. What will the impact be? Amount of time for when this is happening, like when folks have to divert to drive elsewhere to get through it during construction? Do we know roughly how long that might take?
I don't think we formally had that discussion just yet, we're still in the design phase, but. I'll defer to Michael if he has any further input, but I don't think we've had that formal conversation. Yeah.
Okay, no further questions? So we'll move on to. What was I going this way, so Mayor Pro Tem Cabrera.
I have first, two comments. The first one is thank you so much for moving that change from, north to Market Street. That looks a lot better. My second comment is, comment, a question, and I know that the budget is a little restricted in that one. Oh, why don't we, extend the trees all the way to front? Is it because of the budget or?
So with one, yes, budget, but two, it'd be hard to have that landscape median all the way to front, specifically for that portion between front and Monterey. Because of the turning template required by the heavier semi trucks. I would hate to see, because it's recessed, right? So if they get their tires stuck in there or something, you know, when they're turning, that can be an issue.
Okay, so the other one is, my question is, going back to Gavilan and the West. I've seen in Salina several places, mostly in downtown area, that they have crossed, like, crossing the street, so you don't necessarily have to cross this way, but you cross in a diagonal way. Is there any way that we can have something like that? Because I've been in situations in which the kids go this way and then go this way, and there's no way to go anywhere.
Right.
So might as well have them cross, but I don't know how dangerous that would be, because I know, especially in the morning, a lot of people they don't stop sometimes.
Yeah. Everyone's in the right.
And they're honking on the streets.
Yes, I do witness that out there. I don't know what I guess the engineering behind it to make it feasible. We'd have to look at, you know, how we convert the existing traffic signals into that something. To be converted into that, but we can definitely look into it and at least consider it going forward.
Thank you so much. This looks a lot.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, so, Councilwoman Cabrera, Councilwoman.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sorry, but I'm.
So, just really quick, thank you for, MNS to provide this also to the draft, and, you know, I just wanted to just kind of share also to, comment too, is we're just in the beginning stages of the plan, right?
We in theory, at the halfway point, but not so far gone. We're far enough where we can finally present. we're not so far gone that we wouldn't be able to make some adjustments.
Okay, and again, just to make it clear, I mean, I want to echo what Gonzalo Sanchez and Gabriel mentioned about, major concern is of course safety.
Mhm.
And I like that we're going to quote unquote revamp, especially where the traffic is, and so that's the stepping stone as well. So I just wanted to just make a comment, no questions, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. I don't have any specific questions. I mean, I'm just concerned about, obviously, the medium is gonna have a bunch of trees. We had a discussion about budget and trees and long-term maintenance, and so just, consideration for that obviously, the more we have, the more we're gonna have to maintain, and we had a long period of time where our trees were not maintained.
Right.
So I think just making sure that as we move forward and we're looking at next year's budget cycle, is that, or not next year, because it won't be, it won't be completed within that time frame. But as a staff and as a council, is just consideration that with that, we'll have more augmentation in terms of our maintenance for our trees. And that we do set aside a tree budget.
Yeah, we're definitely looking into that.
Okay, because it's gonna be needed, especially now with more trees on the road. So, I think for me, it's just a visibility issue. I know we're going from big to small, and we're gonna have a lot of probably unhappy people, and unhappy residents. So I would like to see if there's an opportunity as we're doing this, where is the point where we can present something to our community to be able to get just be able to introduce, here's what we're doing. Here's, what we're gonna move forward with, and just to be able to give a little bit more, raise awareness. I know that we can't modify, we're at this 60% and there's obviously almost completion.
Right.
But at least to give them an opportunity to say, look, this is where we're at now. We just want people to know, because it is coming, and I know that reducing some of these streets, and we know why we're doing it for safety reasons, but it will be a shocker to our residents. So I think at some point, people are gonna say, what happened? And so I wanna make sure that we are prepared for that, and if there's an opportunity at the 60% mark, that we look at how do we have a town hall, or, to be able to present this information to our community, especially given all the traffic issues and concerns. I think this is a perfect opportunity to be able to do that.
And if I just may just quickly say, I don't know what the public outreach was during the time when we constructed our first roundabout in the city of Soledad. And I assume there's a lot of education going out there, but we'll look back at that and see how that was done and consider using that going forward.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we want to consider using that, because we got a lot of, I don't know how much, Dawn, right? Because people were really upset too, when that happened, and it's like the whole outreach and awareness of this is why this is a better, alternative, right? But it was a hard adjustment, so I think in a small community, we have an opportunity to be able to do more, raise awareness and just reach out a little bit more to our community members.
I think we could combine this with the Front Street additional traffic safety control devices. We're installing the additional stop signs and bring out the 60% less.
Yeah, perfect.
One comment about, if I may just, I think driving in that piece of like adding that crosswalk on Sunday, I think that's something that the community would be take well, right, because it's a safety issue for the kids, so I think that issue is something we should try for sure.
Chair, I think that you guys did a lot about education and promotion when this came out about a year and a half ago. It was actually when I was protesting about it. But I was in the forum that you guys put together, and most of the people that were there saw this as with in a positive way, and everybody was excited about it. I think that if you, now that Councilmember Gonzalo Sanchez mentioned it, if there's any way that we can put a stop light, not lights, but just something that stops, because if kids are gonna cross in that area, we need some precautions right there.
Yeah, Yeah, so let's go back, and if we can do that, I think it would be good, if it's positive feedback, well, the better, right?
Right.
So, communication is good anyways with our residents, so if we could move forward with that, that would be great. Okay, so with that, we still have one more item, so I wanna make sure that we move forward. So, receive a presentation, we don't have any action to take, so thank you, Alex. Okay, so we'll move on to item number 4, resolution number 6204, resolution of the city council of the city of Soledad approving the state legislative platform for 2025-26. And I'll turn this over to Jesus. And I know we also have Spencer on the line as well.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, council members. Yes, well, we get Spencer Street from Townsend on the line to go over the presentation. I'll be a little bit quick. I know we have a hard stop at night. But this, what you have here today is the legislative platform that was put together with the support of Townsend, as well as our legislative ad hoc committee composed of Mayor Pro Tem Cabrera and Councilmember Antonio Sanchez. There are 9 areas that this legislative platform covers, and it is very important that it is separate from the immigration platform, and that due to our contract with Townsend, this will only cover statewide legislation. So with that, they want to know Spencer is on the line. Spencer?
Yes, hello.
Hey, Spencer.
Hi, Spencer.
You're up.
Perfect. Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Mayor, council members, and city staff. This has been a great project working with the city's legislative committee on this document to provide a guide for the city's engagement in the state legislative process. But this also serves as a formalized and public reflection of the city's priorities. Kind of as background, the platform will act as a tool for advocacy. This will help us identify legislation to either support or oppose, offering the city an opportunity to submit comments about legislation that impacts the city. And the platform will also act as a marker for us to point to when working with elected officials, either in or outside of the city's elected delegation, other departments, and other organizations to reinforce the city's position on various issues. As Jesus mentioned, this is for state legislation, but as we've already seen, there will be a number of pieces of legislation that will be either in response to or in anticipation of federal activity. But overall, the main tenets throughout the platform are looking out for the residents of Soledad, maintaining local control, and supporting economic opportunities for the city. Putting this in a bit of context, so far, there have been 2,500 bills introduced between the Senate and Assembly, and this platform will help parse through these measures as they go through the legislative process. I'll touch briefly on each of those 9 topics, starting with the unhoused populations. The city would like to support services to transition people out of homelessness and also advocate for increased funding, resources, infrastructure, and oversight for homelessness programs. Similarly, for housing and affordable housing, this platform will allow the city to support the creation and funding of affordable housing, monitoring legislation that affects local control over land use. There will be a number of bills going through the legislature this year related to local land use. Also advocating for housing subsidies for elderly and disabled populations, and also supporting first-time homebuyer assistance programs. When it comes to behavioral health, the platform states the city's position to promote alternative emergency response for behavioral health crises, and also advocating for funding behavioral health workforce partnerships. Under fiscal sustainability and economic development, this platform will look to preserve local funding streams and reduce administrative burdens. Similarly, oppose measures that shift local funds away from the city. The platform would also support economic security for agricultural workers and communities, and advocate for artificial intelligence training resources for workforce development as those opportunities arise and offer more benefits for the city. Under general infrastructure, the city would advocate for funding roads, the Highway 101 overpass in Soledad, and broadband access. Also supporting a train station in Soledad and looking out for anything allowing the city to make any public transit enhancements. Overall, generally, looking for opportunities to improve transportation safety and connectivity in Soledad. Under public safety, we'll look for securing funding for police and fire equipment and personnel, increasing cybersecurity measures for government and businesses, supporting measures that address the fentanyl crisis and enhance school safety, especially for students from undocumented and mixed status families, and supporting community-based alternative response initiatives for public safety. Under climate resiliency, working on supporting measures that reduce greenhouse gas emissions, especially in a cost-effective way for the city, and supporting green businesses while protecting job opportunities for those in traditional industries as the state begins to transition. Similarly, advocating for resources for equitable electric vehicle transition and building out that infrastructure locally. Also looking to secure disaster response funding and addressing declining funding for streets and roads. Under Parks and Recreation, we will look for ways to expand youth mentoring and funding for after-school programs through the 21st Century Community Learning Center program, and increasing funding for parks, open space, and physical activity programs that are continuing to improve in the city. And also looking to support the reduction of pesticide use near sensitive areas. Also under diversity, equity, and inclusion, we'll look for supporting measures that support equitable policing, housing, and racial equity policies, and support legislation that provides opportunities for all immigrants to achieve economic success and a pathway to citizenship, and that provides support for mixed status families. And lastly, looking for ways to enhance public engagement and services for marginalized communities. So some of these may seem fairly broad and general to local governments, but this was crafted with the input from the city's legislative subcommittee, and many are tailored directly to the city of Soledad. So moving forward, this of course can be a living document adjusted as needed, especially on an annual basis in between legislative sessions. This will be a great tool as I work with the city on advocating for the city's goals, agenda, priorities, and especially funding. And of course, open to any questions or any final edits.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Spencer. And it's nice to meet you. Meet you online. I know we've
Likewise,
spoken. So yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you also to our subcommittee members, and thank you so much, Jesus, as well. So let me take it out to the public first before I bring it back to the council. Any members of the public that are joining us via Zoom that wish to make any comments on this item? Okay, and I see no hands raised. So I will bring it back to the council then, if there's any comments or questions. And council, let's just think about, I know that it's very comprehensive. If there's any additions or comments that you'd like to make, and then let me just make sure that we don't take a lot of time on this. I apologize for that, but I know we're getting close to our time to leave, so I want to make sure we're committed to completing this section. So Councilmember Caldera, I'll start with you. Any comments or questions?
Comments.
Okay, yeah. Councilmember Marcelo Sanchez, you were part of the committee, so I'm not sure whether you have additional comments or questions on this. Okay, Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Cabrera, you were also part of the committee and helping to craft this, so I'm not sure whether you have additional comments or questions.
Actually, just one comment on the area for the there's reduction of pesticides. It is, there is a lot of issues in the area, so if we put an emphasis in that, I would really appreciate it. We have a lot of problem with people getting cancer and stuff like that. Very serious problems around here. More so in the cities southwest, but it also affects us because many of them have relatives or people work over there. I just wanna make sure that we touch on that.
So can you, sorry, Mayor Pro Tem, so what do you want to add? I didn't catch it. What do you want to add to that
It
portion?
was just a comment
Oh,
to, looking for anything that is coming in that area.
oh, for any
Not-
laws, any bills?
Yes,
So bills related to pesticides, okay. And,
she's,
Councilwoman left, Councilwoman, Benito's left, so I'll come back to her. Thank you so much for crafting this. I really appreciate all the hard work that went into it. I just have comments, so then I'll do my comments and then I'll take it to Councilwoman, Benito. So, on it's not on this one, but I know I saw it on the other document, but I just want to make a statement, because on the transportation and parking, I know that we're supporting legislation and we're looking at rail and transit. But I just want to make sure that we emphasize, at least for our city, Spencer, and for our community, I know that there's a lot of emphasis in rail, and rail is, you know, working for the city of Salinas. I mean, the rail project took over 20 years and it's still not, you know, coming to fruition. I know for our community, especially our geography, that I think the emphasis for us, even though rail is a possibility, but we're still now struggling with funding for even rail projects, right? We're not even in the next 50 to 20, you know, projects in the next couple of years, to be able to get funding, given the situation at the federal level. Who knows when that's gonna come to fruition? A lot of the money for the state is really placed on the high-speed rail. So I think for me, I really wanna make sure that there is an emphasis that there's somehow where we can add language where the priority will be to our existing transit opportunities for our residents, right? So that we're really focused on existing transit. Public transit is what we have, so let me just say it, we have public transit, how do we improve and enhance our public transit system? And rail is important, but that's, I think, our priority, because we don't even have a rail system. That's my comment, and then my second one is on the fiscal sustainability, economics and development. On the immigration portion, which is bullet point number 6. If we can put, I know where it says support legislative efforts that create pathways to citizenship for immigrant families and individuals. I'd like to add, we are also creating or supporting legislation that doesn't separate families. Because I think that's one of the things that it's really important for our communities, and that we're gonna contend with is the separation of families, especially given that we have a lot of mixed status families. So I think it's really important to be able to call that out. But other than that, you guys did an amazing job, so thank you. Okay, Councilwoman, Banuelos, do you have any comments or questions?
You know, just a comment, thank you so much, Spencer, for being with us tonight, and then also, you know, being, very thorough in each of the 9 topics. My question is, if you had asked, I mean, Mayor already asked this, so I'm gonna ask again. Just my comments, thank you.
Okay, so
Mr. Chair, I did have one comment, maybe this is direction for Jesus and I moving forward, is that there's a series of state legislation that's coming forward regarding, ICE enforcement, and I know one of the assembly bills is, State Assembly Bill 49, but I didn't know if there were other things that were coming through the state that maybe we need to broaden the platform a bit to cover that piece. And I mentioned it in the staff report about that Assembly Bill 49, Marisucci, thank you. You know, it seems like that one's kind of a no-brainer based on what council has expressed. But I didn't know if there was other legislation that's related and whether we should just again, add that to the legislative platform so we can be responsive to those pieces of legislation moving forward.
To make it easier, yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when it's, when it takes, a letter of, support or opposition or any bills, it would be really nice to.
Okay, so then, so we'll add, to the legislative platform, then the recommendation to include, I mean, it's not just Marisucci's bill, but any other bill, related to the ICE enforcement into our public facilities or schools, right, into our public.
Yeah,
facilities.
it's just sensitive.
Yeah, sensitive areas, okay.
During our committee meeting, I think we had discussed several bills, right, Spencer, that we were for and opposing that kind of has to do with this. I'm sure Spencer has the list. So I know. it
Yes,
was-
and I can recirculate a number of those. I believe there were two or three support and a couple oppose related exactly to that, related to ICE enforcement, a couple measures that would expand ICE enforcement and a couple that would restrict ICE enforcement. So I'll recirculate that list with the subcommittee as well.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful to maybe put in the platform so that we can be responsive, you know, as it relates to ICE enforcement, consistent with, you know, basically our police policies that we would, you know, oppose the ones that, you know, strengthen it or force jurisdictions to participate and, you know, kind of in line with what the guidance we've already received. But it's not exactly in the platform, so if we could just create a little bullet related to that, and the council agrees, then we can continue to track that, make sure we get the letters.
Yeah, council, I think we agree, correct?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Okay, thank you, Megan, for bringing that up. And I think, council, just as a matter of clarity, once we approve this, I know there's a lot of bills, Spencer knows, obviously, with the over 2,000 bills, they're gonna start meeting in committee. These bills may not even get to, you know, might not even make it out of committee. But as they're going through, I think, you know, I'm always worried about like, hey, are we supporting this bill? Are we not supporting this bill? And, you know, talking to Megan and saying, hey, we need to support because sometimes it's at the last minute and the assembly members or the senators need the support. So with this, we'll be able, just so council knows in our community, we'll be able to support those letters or oppose, and that way we don't have to come back to the council based on this platform. Anything related to those legislative platforms that we've approved today, then we can issue letters of support or letters of opposition. So I just want to be clear on the process for the city council, for the council members. Because we're not gonna come back for each, we're not coming back for each approval of the bills.
Yeah, and I think we can work through, if we have questions, we can work through the subcommittee too.
Yeah, exactly. And the subcommittee may have like a whole list of different, you know, bills that they want to move forward. And then working through Megan to say, hey, and with Spencer, hey, we want a, you know, we want to oppose or support, so we could do that. And then the subcommittee will do that, yeah. Okay, good. Well, thank you. So with that, then we need a motion.
I motion to approve resolution number 6204
With the inclusion
with the
of
inclusion of
the ICE.
the ICE language as mentioned by both Mayor and Megan, as well as the language about making sure that we're not separating families that Mayor mentioned earlier as well. Correct.
Yeah, and prioritizing existing.
And
traffic.
prioritizing existing but well.
Thank you. Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Okay, so there's a second. So we have a motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Thank you, Spencer. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we apologize for having to rush through this, but we are at 9 o'clock. So we're almost at 9 o'clock, so what we're gonna do, given that we are in a tight time frame, council, we're going to, if you're okay with that, and I think can we do this? To our city attorney, we have, you have your, we have the reports, we can give them to Darlene. She can put them on our city council webpage, so that way the people from our community can see them. And then we do have, city manager's report. If you have any questions, you can reach out to her directly. I think we want to defer, I'm gonna defer future agenda items only because of the lack of, work time. And then, if we're okay with that, then we can move into adjournment. Can we do that?
Yeah.
The one thing I just wanted to let folks know is I will be out, this March 7th through the 14th, and Don will be acting in my place during that time. And
Okay.
I may not be reachable because I'm in the island of Hawaii and hiking in remote areas, so.
Good. Well, have fun, Megan.
Thank you.
Okay, so with,
I think I just one thing, the opening ceremony for Solid and the league and for Solid Breakers to